कूजन्तं राम रामेति मधुरं मधुराक्षरम् आरुह्य कविताशाखां वन्दे वाल्मीकि कोकिलम्। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताया पतये नमः। जयत्याश्रितसन्त्रास ध्वान्तविध्वंसनोदयः प्रभावान् सीतया देव्या परमव्योमभास्करः परमव्योमभास्करः।
श्रीमते निगमान्त महादेशिकाय नमः। Rama was trained to be the heir apparent, and in this due course, he matured into a very fine, a very enviable, eloquent speaker. His accessibility to the subjects of Ayodhya was immense. Besides being an eloquent speaker, he also started learning the nuances of financial management, Arthashastra. We need to understand that today, in the current day Bharata, our country, we have split functions. For instance, if I want justice, if I want to fight a case legally, then there is judiciary. There are various magistrate courts. There are high courts, there is a supreme court, there are civil courts, consumer courts, and so on. All this deals with cases in the legal area. So there is judiciary that ensures that it will lend its ears to my requests and shall pronounce a judgment. That is judiciary. Then we have something called as the defense, where in the air they fight as Air Force. On the land, terrestrially, they fight as the army. In the waters, they are the navy. So, Air Force, Army, Navy. So, there is a Trishulam. There is a threefold approach to defense. So, they protect the borders, the land borders on the west and the eastern frontiers. In the south, they guard the coast. So, there is a coastline that is being protected by the army people. There are borders protected by the army people. So, the defense takes care of protecting the country. Third is the executive functions. For example, what laws to bring in, how the laws should be passed, how the laws should be executed, how the laws have to be protected, how the laws have to be ensured that the people follow it. So, there is another part which the central government, the state government does it. So, if you are people listening from various countries, I am sure you will be having a system such as this. But in Bharata Desham, in the ancient India, all these three were vested only on the king. The king had to protect his borders. The king had to listen to the people's cases and give judgments. The king had to take care of enacting laws and ensuring that there is welfare schemes for all his people. So, be it administration, law and order, be it protection of the country and the subjects or judiciary, everything was vested on the king. So, the king had to be super powerful, extremely eloquent, very well read. So, all these qualities have to be imbibed in the king even before he became the king. So was Rama given all these qualities. Viryavan nacha viryena mahatasvena vismitaha buddhiman madhura bhashi purvabhashi priyambadaha. While this was happening, he was also aware of Arthashastram, financial management. Ayakarmanyupayajnah samdrishtvavyavyakarmavit. So he was aware of how to manage the finances of the country, the treasury of Ayodhya. In fact, there is a beautiful place where Narada Maharshi inquires Yudhishthira later. This is Treta, what we are dealing with, but Narada Yudhishthira Sambadam happens in Dwapara Yugam, where he inquires. He asks Yudhishthira, Yudhishthira, I heard you are a good king. Do you spend half, quarter, or three-fourth of the income that you get on your subjects? So there is a percentage. How much do you spend? Kachidasya chardhena chaturбhagena va punaha padabhagaistribhirvapi avyayah samshuddhyate tava. Similarly, we have in Srimad Ramayanam also Rama learning the nuances of financial management. So he learned to be a good speaker, a very good administrator, and he was a very good protector too. The shloka says, Apradrishyascha sangrame krudhairapi suraihi anasuyojita krodhaha nadrupto nachamatsari. So he grew into such a valorous person, such a strength-lead person, that even the gods started fearing him. He's become so powerful is what they all thought. With such qualities that were present in Rama, one day it is said beautifully by Kalidasa in Raghuvamsham, Dasharatha one day made time to comb his hair. All these days somebody else was combing, he was a king, so he had a barber, hairdresser all around. One day he wanted to comb that himself. So he went and stood in front of the mirror. In the mirror, he looked to himself, and while he was looking at him intensely in the mirror, Kalidasa says there was one white hair strand that came in a curly fashion close to the ear to tell Dasharatha a secret. You may have a valid question. Sir, can hair speak? Can our hair speak? They cannot speak. The truth is, they cannot speak. But in poetry, you may have to use such examples to prove your point. To say that Dasharatha had made a decision, the question is, when did he make the decision? Why did he make the decision? To answer this question, why, Kalidasa ensures that he induces his thought into that white strand of hair. So he says, Tam karnamoolamagatya Rame Shrirnyasyatamiti Kaikeyi Shankaye Vaha Palitachadmana Jara. Kaikeyi Shankaye Vaha, with doubt on Kaikeyi's qualities, character, it seems the white hair strand came and told Dasharatha, Tam Karnamulam. It came to the ear passage. Karnamulam Agatya, that hair strand came. Ramer Shri Nyasyatam iti. Ramer Shri Nyasyatam. Give away this kingdom to Rama. Kaikeyi Shankaye Vaha. Dasharatha too found this suggestion very valid. Kaikeyi Shankaye Vaha, because he had doubts on Kaikeyi. Palita Chadmana Jara. Now Dasharatha, after understanding that this was the thought that was lingering in his mind, told to himself, Pritiresha katham ramo rajasyanmai jivati yesha yastapara pritir hridisam parivartate kadanama sutam drakshyam abhishiktamaham priyam vridhika mohi lokasya sarvabhutanukampakaha. Even I too feel, now Dasharatha concurs, he says, it is just not my white strand of hair that wishes Rama should be the heir apparent. Even I wish. Even I am waiting for that opportune moment when I can coronate my son, beloved son Rama as the heir apparent. Now, Dasharatha goes to the Sabha Mantapam, to the assembly of his ministers and the commoners. There he goes and says, Prapya Varsha Sahasrani Bahunya Nyushi Jivataha जीर्णस्यास्य शरीरस्य विश्रान्तिमभिरोचरो इदं शरीरं कृत्स्नस्य लोकस्य चरता हितं पाण्डुरस्यातपत्रस्य छायायां जरितं मया. He goes and tells people, see, I have become white. I have become so pale because by ruling I have not been able to concentrate on my subjects. I have become very anemic, pale. I have gotten old. Just not me. Look at the white umbrella atop me. Either it could mean the umbrella itself that it has been worn out, or he could tell that his hair had become like an umbrella, white umbrella. Pandurasya tapatrasya chayayam jaritam maya. Then he says, Varsha Sahasrani Bahuni. I have ruled this kingdom for thousands of years. But he doesn't say what number of thousands. But many sources tell that Dasharatha ruled for 60,000 years. Now you may be wondering, sir, how can one person rule for 60,000 years? Leave alone ruling, you can't even cross 100. How are you talking about 60,000 years? Some traditional scholars will defend this statement, stating no. In Treta Yugam, the lifespan was longer, so it is not 100 what you assume in Kali Yugam is, it is 60,000. That may be a bit nonsensical to say so. Remember, what achievements Dasharatha had in 1 year of his regime, a normal and average thinking king could achieve that only if where a set of 1,000 years were to be given to him. A normal king, an ordinary king, let's assume that I am that king. I can achieve what Dasharatha has achieved in 1 year of his regime if they give me 1,000 years. So it will take so many years to achieve or match the achievements of Dasharatha, which literally means that no other king around could even think of achieving what Dasharatha had achieved, be it constructing lakes, wells, ponds, laying good ways for people to walk, ensuring that the nature and the animals, the flora and the fauna is protected. How education is patronized, how people were allowed to get educated, all these facilities that Dasharatha had created for his subjects was intense. So, it was of the opinion that an ordinary king may take 1,000 years. So, Dasharatha ruled for 60 such years, which means it matched the 60,000 years of a normal king. So, this is what we have to assume. So, Dasharatha, he was born, educated, married, then he had a daughter, gave away his daughter in adoption. Later, after many years, he desired for sons, then through Putrakameshti and then Ashwamedham, he desired sons and he got sons. Now, all this, he would have been at least 78, 80 years now. So, in those 80 years, 60 years, he ruled very well. So, at that point in time, he thought it is high time that I give away this kingdom to my son Rama because he has now imbibed very good qualities needed for a higher apparent, and I shall retire to the forest. Retiring to the forest, Kalidasa mentions in Raghuvamsham, Ganita Vayasamikshvakunam idam hi kulapratam. True to my ancestors, even I have to leave to the forest. So while he said this, he also told his subjects, see, I can tell you, I have gotten old, I wish to make Rama the higher apparent. But trust me, he will rule much better than me. Anurupasavo natho Lakshmivan Lakshmanagrajah Trailokyamapi nathena yenasyan nathavattaram. Now he says, please give your consent. Dasharatha asks his subjects for their consent. He says, just because I say I like my son Rama to become the heir apparent, just because I say he has the qualities, you all don't have to necessarily agree. You can choose to disagree, but think about it. Yadidam menu roopartham maya sadhu sumantritam bhavanto menu manyantam katham va karavanyaham. You give me your opinion. So Dasharatha frankly asks the subjects of Ayodhya what their thoughts were if Rama had to be made the heir apparent. The irony is, till about the Britishers came, we were a large set of princely states. There will be a Gwalior king, Vadodara king, there will be a king of Jodhpur, Jaisalmer, Mysore king. There will be many kings. And it was a long procedure. Many years this was being carried out. That time the big criticism was, if a king is ruling and his son or daughter, they become the heir apparent, isn't this celebrating dynasty? This is not democracy. This was the hue and cry in those days. So after many millenniums of this dynasty based rule, we shifted to democracy of the people, by the people, for the people. So you and I vote, and the votes decide who the local person is. That local person, who could be an MLA or an MP, finally in his legislature elects a person who can be the chief minister or the prime minister. This is our democracy system. But the irony is, why did we shift to democracy? We felt that in the larger society, whoever be the person, immaterial of religion, gender, caste, creed, language, orientation, could become the chief administrator. So how should it matter to us? People elect, that person could become. And we came to democracy because we opposed dynasties, telling that a person who is in a position, if his son or daughter comes to power, then it is dynasty. There is no meritocracy in it. But here, Dasharatha, though it seems to us as if it is dynasty, asks his subjects for their frank opinion if Rama was eligible to be the heir apparent. Let us see what people have to offer, and I was talking about the irony. That irony factor also, we shall see it henceforth.
Dear Astika reader, I am happy to be authoring a two-part book on the Ramayana in English. The first part is slated for release in the year 2024. The book aims to recreate and retell the Ramayana of Valmiki, conforming to the ancient commentaries and other allied literature. To receive notifications of the book release, kindly register with www.deshikadaya.org/books. Namaskaram.